You arrive before the gates open, when the lot is still empty asphalt and the coasters are just steel skeletons against the morning sky. By 9, the smell of funnel cake and fry oil is already drifting past the ticket booths. The chain lift on the big coaster clanks and grinds as the first test train climbs the hill, empty, checking the track before a single guest walks through. Your logo is on the arch. Your name is on the lease for every acre under your feet. The midway, the log flume, the carousel that might remind someone of a different park decades ago. By 2 in the afternoon, the place is loud with screaming that means people are having a good time, and every scream is, in some small way, revenue. By dusk, the lights come on, thousands of bulbs strung along the Ferris wheel, and for a second, it looks like you own a piece of everyone's childhood. Sounds simple. It is not. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly why a business built on selling joy for $10 at a time is one of the most operationally brutal, weather-dependent, insurance-exposed businesses in America, and why most people who buy into the fantasy never see it coming. People want to own an amusement park for reasons that have almost nothing to do with the spreadsheet. It's status, a landmark with your name attached, the kind of thing local news calls when it reopens for the season. It's control. You decide what gets built, torn down, painted over, replaced. It's nostalgia, monetized. You're not really selling rides. You're selling the version of childhood people already carry around in their heads. And there's a persistent myth that it's recession-proof, that families will always find money for a day of fun no matter what the economy is doing. That myth is only half true. We'll get to the other half. First, some disambiguation, because amusement park covers a lot of ground. There's the mega theme park, a Disney or Universal scale property, billion-dollar budgets, licensed intellectual property, hundreds of acres. That's not this. There's the family entertainment center, mini-golf, go-karts, an arcade, maybe 2 or 3 rides, a $2 to $5 million business you could drop into a strip mall parking lot. That's not this either. What we're talking about is the regional amusement park, a 100 to 150 acre property with 25 to 40 rides, a water park section, a handful of coasters, drawing from a 2 to 3 hour driving radius. Think of the parks that anchor a mid-size American city's summer, not the ones that anchor a multinational media company's quarterly earnings call. That's the business we're building, piece by piece. Let's talk about what it actually costs to get in. Start with land. 100 acres near a highway interchange, zoned for commercial recreation, runs $3 million to $8 million depending on the region, call it $5 million. Then the rides, which is where the real money goes. A single steel roller coaster from a manufacturer like Vekoma or Inamine costs $8 million to $15 million installed. A wooden coaster, or a modern steel-wood hybrid built by a company like Rocky Mountain Construction, runs $10 million to $18 million. A park needs at least 2 or 3 signature coasters to be taken seriously, so budget $30 million there alone. Then the mid-tier rides, swinging ships, drop towers, log flumes, at $2 million to $5 million each, maybe 6 of them, another $20 million. Kiddie rides and flat rides round out the midway at $300,000 to $800,000 apiece. Call it $5 million for 15 of them. Add a water park section, wave pool, lazy river, slide tower. And that's another $15 million to $25 million. Then the infrastructure nobody photographs. Paved parking for 5,000 cars at roughly $3,000 a spot, restrooms, first aid stations, a maintenance shop, food service buildings, a ticketing and point-of-sale system wired into every turnstile. That layer alone runs $10 million to $15 million. Add it up and you're looking at $130 million to $180 million before you've sold a single ticket. And no, that's not a typo. That's before permitting, environmental review, and the insurance bonds a municipality will require just to let you break ground. So how does $150 million actually get raised? Almost never in cash. The land and buildings get financed through a commercial construction loan from a regional bank, typically covering 60 to 70% of project cost, secured against the real estate itself. The rides, the single most expensive line item, are often financed separately, either through equipment loans from lenders who specialize in amusement and entertainment assets, or through a lease structure with the manufacturer, where you pay for the coaster over 7 to 10 years instead of all at once. Many regional parks also lean on industrial revenue bonds, debt issued by a local municipality or economic development authority, at a lower interest rate than a bank would offer, in exchange for the jobs and tourism the park brings to the area. The rest, usually 20 to 30%, comes from equity, a private investor group, a family office, or a specialty leisure industry private equity fund that's done this exact deal a dozen times before. And underneath all of it sits a revolving line of credit, because a seasonal business needs cash to make payroll in April, months before a single admission ticket sells in June. Now let's do the math on how the money comes back. Revenue Stream 1, Gate Admission. A single-day ticket runs $55 to $75. If you draw 700,000 visitors in a season and half of them buy a single-day ticket at $65, that's 350,000 tickets. 22.75 million right there. Revenue Stream 2, Season Passes, priced around $120, cheap enough that a family of 4 buys and instead of paying twice. If 80,000 people buy one, that's another 9.6 million, though at a lower margin, since pass holders visit more often and spend on food every time they come. Revenue Stream 3, Food and Beverage. Per capita spending, the industry term for average dollars spent per visitor, per visit, runs 18 to 22 across all guests, pass holders included. Across roughly 1 million total visits in a season, counting repeat pass holder trips, that's another 18 million. Revenue Stream 4, Games and the Midway, ring toss, water gun races, claw machines, typically 8 to 10 per cap, another 8 million. Revenue Stream 5, Parking, at 15 to 20 a car, maybe 200,000 vehicles across the season, 3.5 million. Revenue Stream 6, Group Sales and Corporate Outings, School Field Trips, Company Picnics, Church Groups, booked in bulk at a discount, but guaranteed in volume, worth another 6 million to 8 million a year. Stack all of that, and a well-run regional park in a good season is pulling in 65 million to 75 million in gross revenue. That's the number that gets pitched to investors. It is not the number that ends up in the owner's pocket. Here's what nobody thinks about while they're standing at the base of that Ferris wheel imagining themselves as the owner. You need staff. You need maintenance. You need insurance. You need to keep the lights on for months when nobody's buying a ticket. Staffing, first. A park this size needs 1,200 to 1,800 seasonal employees, ride operators, food service, security, lifeguards for the water park, hired, trained, and background checked in about 6 weeks every spring, most of them teenagers and college students earning 14 to 17 an hour. Payroll for a single season runs 12 million to 16 million, before you even count the year-round management and maintenance staff, another 100 to 150 people, adding 6 million to 8 million more. Then there's ride maintenance and inspection. Every coaster and major ride needs daily mechanical checks and an annual certification against ASTM safety standards, performed by trained technicians. That's not optional. It's the price of keeping your operating license. Budget 4 million to 6 million a year for that alone. Insurance is its own category of pain. General liability coverage for a park this size runs 2 million to 4 million annually, before a single incident. Utilities, lighting 40 acres of midway, running water park pumps, air conditioning arcade buildings, adds another 3 million to 4 million. And here's the part the fantasy conveniently skips. The park is only open 100 to 130 days a year, but it costs money every single day of the other 235. Property tax, security, off-season maintenance, insurance premiums that don't pause for winter. Total hidden operating costs before you've paid a dime of debt service, 30 million to 40 million a year. Now the mechanism that can actually break this business. An amusement park's entire revenue model is compressed into a 100-day window, which means it's structurally exposed to weather in a way almost no other business is. A rainy string of Saturdays in July, the 2 highest revenue days of the week, in the 2 highest revenue months of the year, can permanently erase 10 to 15% of annual revenue with no way to make it back. There's no rescheduling a lost Saturday. It's gone. Layer onto that liability risk. A single serious ride incident doesn't just create a lawsuit. It can trigger an insurance non-renewal, forcing you into the surplus lines market at 2 or 3 times the premium, or shutting a specific ride down for a full season while it's re-engineered and recertified. And layered onto that is the debt itself. Most construction loans and equipment leases come with covenants. minimum attendance, or revenue thresholds the lender expects you to hit. And if two bad summers happen back to back, you're not just having a bad year, you're in technical default, renegotiating terms from a position of weakness. Consider what happened to Riverside Adventure Park, a regional operator in the Midwest that opened in the early 2000s with 3 coasters and a water park section, financed heavily with industrial revenue bonds and a bank construction loan. Its first 4 seasons hit projections. Its 5th season opened into a wet spring, a slow June, and a liability claim from a waterslide incident that pushed its insurer to double the premium at renewal. Attendance dropped 22% that year. Revenue fell below the covenant threshold on its bank loan. The park spent the next 3 seasons in forbearance, cutting midway staff, deferring ride refurbishments, watching guest satisfaction and repeat visitation slide in a loop that fed on itself. It never formally closed. It just slowly stopped being the park anyone remembered. So let's put 2 seasons side by side. Same park, same fixed cost base, different weather, and different luck. In the optimistic scenario, 700,000 visitors, gross revenue of $72 million, operating costs of $34 million, debt service of $14 million on the construction loan and ride financing, leaving net cash flow of roughly $24 million before any distribution to ownership. In the realistic scenario, one rainy month, one insurance premium spike after a minor incident, attendance down to 540,000, gross revenue falls to $54 million, operating costs barely move because most of them are fixed regardless of how many people walk through the gate, staying near $32 million. Debt service is unchanged at $14 million, and net cash flow collapses to roughly $8 million. Same park, same rides, same lights on the Ferris wheel at dusk. A $16 million gap between the two outcomes, driven almost entirely by things the owner does not control. Rainfall, one bad afternoon on a water slide, an insurance underwriter's mood at renewal. Which gets at what this business actually is beneath the surface-level fantasy. You are not buying an amusement park. You are buying a 100-day cash flow machine, wrapped in nostalgia, that has to generate enough in one summer to service 12 months of debt, insurance, and payroll, and that has almost no ability to make up for a bad week once it's gone. You still arrive before the gates open some mornings, when the lot is empty asphalt and the coasters are steel skeletons against the sky. The funnel cake smell still drifts past the ticket booths by 9. The lights still come on at dusk, thousands of bulbs strung along a wheel that turns whether the season is good or bad. It still looks, for a second, like you own a piece of everyone's childhood. You do. You're just also the one who has to pay for it, rain or shine, whether anyone shows up or not.